News coming in just now. The Congress and the JDS now want a floor test on Monday. This is according to Siddaramaiah. He's also said that H.D. Kumaraswamy, the Chief Minister, has said that Monday will go for the floor test. However long it takes, after everyone's speech, Chief Minister Kumaraswamy will give the last word and then the trust vote will take place. This is all according to Siddaramaiah. The procedure has to be followed even though they've asked for a division. Monday will go for the floor test and there will be a trust vote. This is a conspiracy, he says, to destabilize the coalition. These are Siddaramaiah's words. My colleague Vajiullah standing by for more details. Vajiullah, it does look like the Congress wants to go in for a Monday floor test. What else are we picking up at this moment?
Yes, the delaying the entire process was the agenda of the JDS and Congress from the beginning itself. And adding to that was what happened right now. The BJP is relentless. They wanted the session to end today itself with the vote, with the trust vote happening today itself, while the Congress and the JDS coalition want this to extend till Monday. We also heard Siddaramaiah speak in the House and say that usually on a Friday the business gets over by 2 o'clock, but today we have come to 6:30, 7 o'clock. So you should understand that there are MLAs who have to go back to their constituencies. While the BJP is relentless, they want the session to conclude with the trust vote itself. But it's unlikely that it's going to happen because the Speaker also has said that he would be here till 7:30. So in all these scenarios, it's unlikely that we are going to have something concrete coming out of the Assembly today. But all we know is that the coalition is pushing for a Monday vote of confidence. All
right. Thank you for those details, Vajiullah. We move on now to our top focus story at this moment. After being stopped today from meeting the victims of the Sonbhadra massacre in Uttar Pradesh, Priyanka Gandhi, the Congress leader, decided to stage a sit-in against the Adityanath government in Uttar Pradesh. Her dharna, if you will, was followed by Congress workers hitting the streets in different parts and cities of the country. The whole episode has given a fresh lease of life to the theory that there is growing chorus for Priyanka Gandhi to take over as Congress president from her brother, who's still the Congress president, remember. We have some reactions coming in from the developments of the day. Take a look at those before I introduce our guests. Here they are.
एक 17 साल का बच्चा है, 17 साल का बच्चा है, उसको यहाँ पे गोली लगी है। उसकी माँ अगले पलंग पे लेटी है, उनको भी गोली लगी है। उनके सर पर ईंट मारा गया, लाठी से उनका हाथ तोड़ा गया। तो इस प्रदेश की कानून व्यवस्था कहाँ है? हादसे से पहले फोन किया गया था पुलिस को, 3 दिन पहले गांव वाले गए थे कि ऐसा हो जाएगा। हादसे के दौरान बुलाया गया था, कोई मदद नहीं हुई उनको। अब मैं सिर्फ इतना कह रही हूँ कि मैं पीड़ितों से मिलने जा रही हूँ। मैंने कहा भी अगर 144 है, मैं 3 लोगों को लेके जाऊँगी, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं। मुझे सिर्फ उनसे मिलना है, क्योंकि उनको ये एहसास होना चाहिए कि उनके साथ कोई खड़ा है जी, कि वो अकेले नहीं है इस दुख में, इस दर्द में, चाहे वो कोई भी हो। जब मैं मिर्ज़ापुर पहुंची तो मुझे रोका गया कि आप मिर्ज़ापुर नहीं जा सकते। तो मैंने कहा क्यों नहीं जा सकती? कुछ ऑर्डर दिखाइए, कोई धारा होगी, कुछ होगा। मिर्ज़ापुर में उस समय कोई धारा नहीं, सिर्फ सोनभद्र में 144 थी। उसको भी मैं कह रही थी कि मैं उसका उल्लंघन नहीं करूँगी, शांतिपूर्वक जाऊंगी 3 लोगों को लेकर। तो कौन सी बड़ी आपत्ति आ गई? तो जब उन्होंने कहा कि कोई आपको जाने नहीं देंगे, लेकिन कोई ऑर्डर नहीं है, ऊपर से फ़ोन आया है, तो मैंने कहा फिर तो मैं जाऊंगी, क्योंकि आपने मुझे कोई कागज़ नहीं दिखाया, कोई ऑर्डर नहीं दिखाया, कोई एक्ट नहीं दिखाया। तो जब मैं जाने लगी तो फिर मुझे गिरफ्तार करके यहाँ ले आए। तो मैं यहाँ इंतज़ार करूँगी, लेकिन मेरी ये इच्छा है कि जब तक मैं उन पीड़ितों से, उनके परिवारों से नहीं मिलूंगी, तब तक मैं नहीं जाऊंगी।
Meanwhile, the Congress party has been carrying out pan-India protests against the government in Uttar Pradesh for detaining Priyanka Gandhi. Here are some reactions, visuals from those protesters fanning across the country.
आप देखिए, बगैर किसी धारा के तहत जिस तरीके से उनको डिटेन किया गया, आज पूरे देश में जिस तरह की हिंसा है, जिस तरीके से प्रजातंत्र काम कर रहा है, ऐसा लगता है देश में प्रजातंत्र खत्म हो गया। खाली सीना ठोक कर ये कहना कि हम 300 सीट लेकर आए हैं, आज हर नागरिक जो है वो अपने आप को असुरक्षित महसूस कर रहा है। और प्रियंका जी पूरे देश के लोगों की आवाज़ उठाने के लिए हिंसा के खिलाफ वहाँ गई थी, और जिस तरीके से उनके साथ बर्ताव किया गया, पूरी कांग्रेस दिल्ली की उसकी भर्त्सना करती है और जो पुलिस अफसर उसमें मुलविस पाए जाएं उनके खिलाफ सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई हो।
देखिए, लोकतंत्र में किसी को देखने जाना, कोई जिस परिवार में इतने सारे परिवार में लोगों को हत्या हुई है, लोगों को जान गए हैं, उनसे जाके सहानुभूति दिखाना, ये क्या लोकतंत्र की विरोध है? यूपी सरकार जो किया है कि जो एक हमारे प्रियंका गांधी जी उन परिवारों से मिलने के लिए जा रहे थे, जिस तरह से उनको रोका गया, ये सरासर लोकतंत्र विरोधी है। Demand is that the BJP government, the UP government has to immediately explain that why did it violate all democratic norms and why did it detain Priyanka Gandhi ji? They have to answer for it.
All right, that's the big story today. Priyanka Gandhi in preventive custody. She, on the other hand, has decided to stay back in the Chunar guest house in Mirzapur, saying she will not go back unless and until she has the chance to meet the family members of those who were massacred in Sonbhadra, Uttar Pradesh. Narendra Taneja joins us, spokesperson of the BJP today. Karan Basir, political analyst, along with Ashutosh Mishra, senior journalist, and Alimuddin Khan, a political analyst as well. Thank you all for being with us. First to you, Mr. Taneja. The Congress party says this is anti-democracy to stop a political leader from going to visit the family members of those who were killed, and the real law and order situation is the massacre actually happening. Then why isn't a political leader being allowed to go? What is the explanation here? Mr. Taneja, let's kick off the debate with you.
No, you see, the point is local administration, they are doing their job. I mean, it is their responsibility, not of the chief minister, not of the central government. The local administration, they take a call on such issues. So how come this becomes anti-democracy? And since when Congress started talking of democracy, the party that imposed, emergency in this country, and where there is no intra-party democracy, so that party, and by the way, Priyanka Gandhi is still a member of the Congress party general secretary, or she resigned? Because every day dozens of people are resigning from there. Her brother is no longer the president. So we really don't know. So point is, they are trying to politicize for simple reasons, just in order to exist. Priyanka Gandhi ji ki rajniti chamkane ki koshish hai. That's not how politics function in this country. They're saying we are going to have pan-India protest. Do you exist pan-India? Do you have organization pan-India? Do you have organization across UP? Forget about India. Pan-UP or pan-Mirzapur. Forget about even UP. Now the question is, this is just politics, to politicize in order to have some coverage in the media. This is just for television screens. This is nothing else, nothing. This is just political tamasha, notanki, and Congress is known for it. Priyanka ji, if she is serious, she should come back to Delhi and build her party. That's not how you build the party. There is no Congress in Uttar Pradesh. She will need 10 years just to build the party in Uttar Pradesh.
There's also another facet of this story that we're discussing right now, which is...
Let the local administration do its job.
No, fair enough. Now, there is another facet to this story we're discussing, of course, which is this an indication really that it's time now perhaps where Priyanka Gandhi takes the front seat and tries to emerge as an alternative to her brother in the party, while Rahul Gandhi takes a back seat? Is this somehow... is the BJP perhaps looking at it that way, that this is perhaps, as many have called it today, the bhatta par solve for Priyanka Gandhi?
You see, the point is, first of all, it's their internal matter. But the one thing we know it very well, the ship called Congress party is on fire. People are leaving by dozens every second. You know what's happening in Karnataka, what happened in Goa, what's happening in Delhi, what's happening in Uttar Pradesh. It's a ship on fire. Some people say that Priyanka Gandhi wants to be the next president. That's why Rahul Gandhi is sulking, and he said, all right, in case you take over, So it's a family business. It's a family shop.
Okay.
Whether it's Rahul Gandhi ji or Sonia ji or Priyanka, how does it really matter?
Okay, the BJP doesn't really care about that particular angle. Mr. Mishra, would you agree with what Mr. Taneja has said, that this is just publicity that Ms. Gandhi is trying to garner here? This is a photo opportunity, nothing else?
No, the problem with BJP is that it always uses Congress as an excuse to hide its own failures, and it comes from top down. I mean, Mr. Modi will always blame Pandit Nehru for anything and everything and not talk about their own failures. Now, what is happening in UP is there is a clash between rights and duties. Yogi Adityanath has this right to cover up this shameful incident. Priyanka Gandhi is in charge of UP East, in which this district falls. she is doing her duty of being a good opposition leader and becoming the voice of the victims. What the UP government obviously does not want is for her to reach the place, because if she goes there and the truth comes out, and the UP government meanwhile is unable to suppress the truth and instill a fear in the victims not to speak up against what has happened, then they will be exposed.
But
That
Mr.
is the
Mishra,
problem. This is BJP's philosophy.
But Mr. Mishra, you would
Priyanka
agree, wouldn't you agree that the administration on the ground has the task of maintaining law and order, and if the DM of that particular place, Mr. Anurag Patel, I believe his name is, the Mirzapur DM, if he says that they've conveyed to Priyanka Gandhi that she's been detained to prevent any law and order situation from worsening and she'll not be allowed to move towards Sonbhadra, don't you think it's their right to call, to make that call first of all? And do you think first of all there is a law and order situation by Priyanka Gandhi going there? Will it worsen? And how it will worsen exactly? I invite any of the panelists to tell me exactly how it will worsen, but answer that question. Isn't it the DM's call, Mr. Mishra, to allow or prevent anybody, political leader or not, from going into Sonbhadra right now, which is clearly on edge right now?
And this his exercising this right, or rather misusing this right, to let an opposition leader go and hear the grievances of the victims, exposes that there is something to hide which the administration does not want to come to light. That's why they are trying to suppress this voice of dissent which Priyanka Gandhi represents, because they are not in this habit. It's beyond, it's not BJP's philosophy to hear to what's happening on the other side.
Okay.
So how and why will the law and order situation worsen if a opposition leader goes and listens to the woes of the, maybe the administration has been a failure.
Okay, I want to ask Mr. Ratan Sharda, who's also on the program.
In UP, the criminals are killing policemen.
One second. So give me a second now. Give me a second now. Ratan Sharda is also on the program. Mr. Sharda, two questions for you. It's a two-parter. One, of course, the first part I asked already, whether this can be seen or viewed as Priyanka Gandhi trying to enthuse her cadre, trying to take a forward step, and perhaps the first move to replace her brother as the numero uno leader in the party. How do you view that? And part B of that question, what is the real law and order situation in Uttar Pradesh? Is it a political leader who says she will honor 144 and take only 2 people with her to see the families and listen to the woes of that family where a massacre happened in Sonbhadra? Is that the real law and order situation that could worsen, or the fact there was a massacre in broad daylight which the Yogi government could not prevent? Is that the real law and order situation? Mr. Sharda.
See, Athar, first of all, we forget when political leaders jump into tragedy tourism, the real tragedy takes backseat. 10 people, 13 people or 10 people have been killed, many more injured. It's a case which is rotting for last 65 or 67 years, since 1955. There is a big scandal there which nobody is worried about, nobody has gone and tested it. Secondly, this particular case, whether go or not, TMC doesn't allow anybody to visit any delegate whenever it happens. Thirdly, none of the tragedy tourism has helped the victim anytime. I am against any party going for tragedy tourism, whether BJP or Congress, anybody, because it doesn't help anybody. It is just responsible people who should be going there. Thirdly, I think this is, the new generation doesn't know there is something called Belchi, a village called Belchi, where Indira Gandhi went to restart her political career after was soundly beaten up in 77, and she went on elephanted. That is what I think this family is trying to recreate. So this Belchi movement for Priyanka, not Bhattar Parsol, which was a super flop. So they are trying to rebuild Belchi, a movement for her, and this is purely political stunt where they are trying to upstage Rahul Gandhi. So this whole, the statements I heard on the debate, before debate, clearly show they are not worried about the villagers, they are not worried about the tribes who are suffering there, they are not worried about murders, they are worried about upstaging Priyanka, who is the only leader who has not owned up the defeat that she has faced and her party has faced in the area where she worked. So on what ground a failed leader is trying to become the president of the party, when Rahul Gandhi has owned up that owned up this defeat? Other leaders have been asked to resign. Why she is not resigned? Why she has not owned up? In fact, she was telling all the workers.
Tragedy tourism is what you're calling it. We'll revisit this.
It's very sad.
We'll revisit this, Mr. Sharda. Give me a second. I have to take a very short break right now. When we come back, the fourth guest who hasn't spoken will get his chance. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We're back in the big news of the day. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra in preventive custody in Mirzapur, I believe, still at the Chunar guest house, says she will not go back till she meets the families of the victims of the Sonbhadra massacre. Alimuddin Khan hasn't spoken in the debate yet. Mr. Khan, how do you see this? First of all, same two-parter for you. Is this Priyanka Gandhi's way of letting people know she's in the running for a top post in the Congress party, and will her brother take a back seat, if you will? And the second part, of course, is quite obvious. Has the Adityanath government shown some nerves in not allowing Priyanka Gandhi to move forward?
See, if people are dying without oxygen in Gorakhpur, and if people are dying in, children are dying in Bihar, and they call it tragedy tourism, that's up to them. If they don't want to attend this tragedy tourism, but at least they should allow a leader of opposition to listen the grievances of the victims in Sonbhadra. Why they are stopping Priyanka Gandhi ji? Because they feel threat from her. And what is the one person was saying, the BJP spokesperson, that what is to be done by Priyanka Gandhi there? Why? What is the duties of the leader of opposition? Leader of opposition should not go and listen the grievances of the people. They should not go for the social cause of the country. They should allow you to the legitimate hegemony doing in this country. This is not possible. You have to allow. This is the constitution gives permission, and this is the right and duties are there in the country. You cannot. I think you are yet to change the constitution. Constitution is still there. It is not changed, my friend. Let the constitution work in this country. Don't call it tragedy tourism.
Okay, so I have a question for Mr. Taneja then.
Wounded or killed, and you are not allowing leader of opposition.
Mr. Taneja, taking off from what Mr. Khan is saying, and first of all, I've spoken to a couple of BJP spokespersons today, and they seem to convey that if Priyanka Gandhi goes on to Sonbhadra, it could be a situation where the law and order situation, to quote another BJP spokesperson, could go from bad to worse. How exactly will that happen? What are the fears of the administration there? What can Priyanka Gandhi do to make the law and order situation worse there?
You know their agenda very well. Like Mr. Khan, you invited him to speak on this, and what he started doing is, hatred for BJP. Clearly, he's not focused on this. He's not focused on Priyanka Gandhi. He used the opportunity to talk about his hatred he has for Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP.
Well, that's the people. He says you're not letting the opposition leader do her job.
Who made her the opposition leader? Who made her the opposition leader? Now listen to me. I didn't intervene when you were talking. Have some manners. Now the point here is that Mr. Ji was saying complete failure of the Uttar Pradesh government. Are you here to give a lecture? Are you some tall leader of the Congress party? Be open about it if you are. Go and fight election. You see, the point
that's the criteria, Mr. Taneja.
The point here is that this is the
Mr. I'm sorry. Hold on. Mr. Taneja, hold on. No, there is no criteria. Being a tall or one second. Hold on, please, Mr. Khan. Being a leader. Mr. Khan, please calm down. Mr. Khan, please. I'm trying to address the situation. Mr. Taneja, with all due respect, being a tall, short, fat, small leader of a party is no criteria to speak about issues in the country. Number one. My question was very simple. If the administration in Mirzapur says Priyanka Gandhi going to Sonbhadra will make the situation, law and order situation, bad to worse, I just want to comprehend how exactly.
Let me answer it.
Yeah.
First of all, Mr. Khan's called Priyanka ji the opposition leader. My objection is to that. Since when Priyanka ji has become the opposition leader, not one of the opposition leaders, the opposition leader, I have to protest. Who made her? You, Mr. Khan, you have done that. Have you done that?
But she is a leader of the party which is in opposition, but anyway,
she's the leader of the opposition party. She's the general secretary in charge of the area.
Number two.
She's in charge of the opposition
I know
party.
that. I know that. Everybody knows that.
She's the opposition.
Okay, I have a limited time on this.
Anything in a family show.
I have limited time, Mr. Taneja.
Anybody can be.
Mr. Khan, Mr. Khan, I have limited time on this. Let him finish.
Gandhi can create law and order situation in the Uttar Pradesh. You are comparing Uttar Pradesh with the TMC.
Then that's what they do. It's for the local administration. Look at the manners, Mr. Khan. You have no manners. You only have hatred for BJP. Mr. Khan, you only hate BJP. You have no manners.
All right. I'm going to have to stop you both. I'm going to have to stop you both here very quickly. Mr. Mishra, wrap this up for us. We have no more than 10-15 seconds. Very quickly.
So, Other two things. First, the fear that was expressed by Mr. Sharda that Priyanka Gandhi might become the next Indira Gandhi. That shows the Sangh Parivar's fear and why she is being stopped from going to where she wanted to go and meet the victims. Second, you said bad to worse. Now, her going to meet the victims will show that the condition is not as bad, but it's even worse than what the government is trying to show.
Okay,
that's the fear. That's what he meant by
I'm out of time on this one. At this moment, we can tell you that Priyanka Gandhi has decided to stay back in the Chunar guest house. She's not going anywhere, at least not tonight. The administration has made plans for her and accommodation for her at the guest house, and that's where we are at right now. Mr. Sharda, thank you for joining us. Mr. Khan, thank you for joining us as well. Mr. Taneja stays with us post 7:30 as well. We'll take a very quick break now. We'll return with more news. We'll be right back. More breaking news coming in right now. Congress leader in Karnataka, G. Parameswara, has tweeted saying his party will seek to delay the floor test. In his tweet, he said, and I quote now directly from the tweet, "We've approached the Supreme Court to contend two major issues. Parties have the right to issue whips to their legislators, and this cannot be taken away by any court. When the House is in session, the governor cannot issue directions or deadlines to when we should have a trust vote." Unquote. That's directly from G. Parameswara's tweet. Deepak Bopanna on the phone line currently. Deepak, this is sending out mixed signals here. First, we have Siddaramaiah suggesting they want a Monday floor test. Now, Parameswara says they delay it yet again after going to the Supreme Court on these two major issues. What's the story here?
Well, it's clear, isn't it? Now, the Congress really understands that delaying this floor test is their only possible way out of the coalition collapsing. And they're doing everything in their power to ensure that they can go on for however long they can, trying to somewhere ensure that they can either frustrate the MLAs to get out of the resort and come back into the Congress or the coalition fold, or look at buying more time to convince them. At this point in time, as you mentioned, we had the former Chief Minister trying to appeal to the Speaker that there are several people who should still speak. It's the right as the legislators of the House. And at least till about Monday, they should be allowed to continue this debate on the trust motion. On the other hand, on Monday, in the Supreme Court, there could be the hearing on whether or not the Supreme Court can, somewhere make the whip irrelevant, and also on the governor's intervention to actually have the trust vote on a specific time. Both these issues will be raised. Now, they're hoping that somewhere through the Supreme Court, and even the hearing could be delayed, or they could even ask for a larger bench to hear this case, prolong it even further. So this seems to be the strategy at this point in time. The governor, of course, was time and again mentioning that the proceedings should end by today, but he said by about 8 o'clock things should conclude. But it doesn't look like in any way they are going to have the trust vote today. Maybe the proceedings would come to an end and the House could get adjourned to Monday.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Deepak. With those details, we'll move on to other stories now. And this is a big story that somehow got, dwarfed by the other big political stories of the day. Amid protests by the opposition members, the government has reintroduced the RTI Amendment Bill 2019 in the Lok Sabha that seeks to define the salaries and terms and conditions of service of the Chief Information Commissioners. The opposition MPs have said the bill will dilute the power and the autonomy of the body which acted as a transparency watchdog. Congress MP Shashi Tharoor also said it was not an RTI amendment bill but an RTI elimination bill. Congress's Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary also said the bill was against the fundamental rights of the people. The government on its part rejected the opacity charge. Some reactions are lined up right now. We'll go across to our guests in just a bit.
मैं प्रस्ताव करता हूं कि सूचना का अधिकार अधिनियम 2005 राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन एक्ट 2005 का संशोधन करने वाले विधेयक सूचना का अधिकार संशोधन विधेयक 2019 राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन अमेंडमेंट बिल 2019 को पुनः स्थापित करने की अनुमति दी जाए।
श्री सोगत राय जी।
Narendra Taneja still with us, spokesperson of the BJP, and Shailesh Gandhi, RTI activist, joins us from Mumbai. Mr. Gandhi, I'd like to start with you, and correct me if I'm wrong here. I'll defer to your knowledge of the RTI here on this. There are two basic problematic issues here with this amendment. First of all, it was tried to be tabled, the government tried to table it way back, I think, a couple of years ago, but there was massive protest and it was eventually never tabled in the Lok Sabha. This reintroduction of this bill, many people believe, falls afoul of Article 14. That's problematic area number one. Number two, the amendment proposals contradict the central government's 2017 action of upgrading and harmonizing the salary packages of other statutory tribunals and adjudicating authorities established under various central laws. And my last point, Mr. Gandhi, is this. The problematic area that I'm talking about is the proposed amendment may violate the Information Commissioner's right to be treated equally as by the law as guaranteed under Article 14. Have I said something that's wrong till now, Mr. Gandhi?
No, on Article 14, I would disagree. I do not think it would mean that various positions can be treated equally. There, I would disagree with your contention.
Okay.
However, it is very unfortunate that they are bringing up this amendment. It's a very petty thing. The original bill was drafted, discussed and passed after going to the parliamentary committee, and the feeling was that for a Right to Information Act to work properly, the commissioner should have adequate power and they should have a position which should be respected by other positions. In governments work on hierarchies, and therefore if you are senior in rank, maybe somebody listen to you, not otherwise. And that was the whole logic behind this, of placing the information commissioners on par with the election commissioners. Now what they are doing is they are not even specifying what it will be. They are saying we'll fix the salaries and perquisites and the tenure. So therefore they are taking away from the statute the independent and autonomy of the commissioners. Even today, let me be very honest, in the previous government, the Congress government or the BJP government, most commissioners, including information commissioners, human rights, women's, all of these are basically selected as an act of political patronage, majority of them. A few may come in otherwise, but by and large and therefore they are beholden to the political masters. But there are a few independent commissioners who are bothering the government, and the government doesn't seem to approve of this, and therefore they have done this. The reasoning they have given in the bill for this change, they are saying, and it's so facetious, they are saying that the Election Commission and the Supreme Court judges are constitutional bodies, whereas this is statutory authority. This is utter nonsense. A police constable is a constitutional authority because he was mentioned in the Constitution of India.
So here's my 2 cents. Here are my 2 cents, and I want to get Mr. Taneja back in on this. The justification, Mr. Taneja, that the central government is giving for amending this RTI Act, namely that the information commissioners being commissions, I beg your pardon, being statutory authorities, cannot be treated at par with constitutional authorities, just like Mr. Gandhi mentioned. It doesn't sound convincing, number one. Number two, this amendment also gives excessive powers to the central government. That also freaks out a lot of people, especially with this government. I don't know whether they have reason to or not. That's somebody else's call. And my last point, Mr. Taneja, the proposed amendments contradict the government's own rationale in forming the October 2017 recommendations of the Law Commission of India, remember, for harmonizing the salaries and terms and conditions of service of other statutory tribunals established under various central laws. In view of all of this, Mr. Taneja, can you really convince Mr. Gandhi, our viewers, and of course me, that this is a good move?
You see, first of all, you see, because here the comparisons are being made with the election commission and election commissioners. Election commissioners are also appointed by the government. It's an autonomous body, it's a constitutional body. Are you suggesting they're appointed by the government, but does it mean that they are basically, beholden to the government? Are you suggesting that? They are not. Similarly, they may be appointed by the government. There are lots of people appointed by the government, but they take their own call and their own views on many issues. Even an ordinary professor or lecturer in a university appointed by the government, but they join political parties, they come on television channels, criticize the government, take their own view on every issue. So there are so many other offices. My point here is very simple. If whatever you are saying is based on certain assumptions that the government is basically intention is to dilute the whole thing, but that's not really the case. This is an administrative, this thing is a kind of enabling act. Just for that, because based on the experience, it was considered by the various arms and wings of the government of India.
With all due respect, Mr. Taneja, the absolute absence of any consultation on the proposals prior to their finalization is a violation, many believe, of the 2014 pre-legislative consultation policy. That's number one. Number two, which I also want to point out, as has been pointed out by several critics, not just me, sir, that the central government has not conducted any consultation with primary stakeholders whatsoever. And like I said before, this is a violation of the policy on pre-legislative consultations. What about that? Why shouldn't then the people question this move?
Let me answer it.
Yes.
Let me answer 2 points. Number one, you see, widespread consultations had taken place before the government actually decided to move this, and even before this was first, kind of constructed last year and and was presented in Parliament. Consultations, whatever you do, especially
Mr. Gandhi is already shaking his head. He doesn't agree.
Just because we don't agree with you does not mean
Mr. Gandhi
no
is already shaking his head, saying no consultations were done. No consultations were done, sir. Mr. Gandhi.
Let me.
Yes, Mr. Gandhi.
Let me complete. I said 2
At
points.
least nobody in the RTI movement
points.
seems
You
to know
have to
of
allow
this
me to complete.
Okay, well, you said consultations were done. Mr. Gandhi doesn't agree, so I thought I'd give him a chance.
Let me complete.
Okay.
No, but I said 2 points. You have to allow me to complete.
All right.
Unless you have decided.
No, all right, go ahead.
No, that you won't let me speak.
Go ahead.
Number 1 point. I said consultations took place. If Mr. Gandhi was not consulted, it does not mean there were no consultations. You see, that's not how, that's the conclusion you have reached to, or Mr. Gandhi has reached to. That's, of course, his choice. Now, the second point which I'm trying to make is that, you see, this is Parliament is a discussion forum. The people sitting in Parliament in Lok Sabha, they represent the entire country. So anything that is presented to the Parliament for debate and discussion, how can you say that there be no discussion? Is there anybody, bigger than the Parliament elected by the people of this country? Are you saying Parliament has no relevance? Only Mr. Gandhi has relevance. Unless he agrees, it is against democracy. Is basically you're trying to destroy the whole thing. Parliament का कोई गिनती नहीं है. Parliament की कोई आवाज नहीं है.
So let Mr. Gandhi answer that. Okay, let Mr. Gandhi answer that. Let Mr. Gandhi answer that.
Presented to the Parliament.
Okay, you said your piece, sir. You said your piece. Mr. Gandhi, Mr. Taneja on this program claims there were widespread consultations done, and if you didn't know about it, doesn't mean people were not consulted. How would you respond?
Where and with whom were these done?
Exactly.
This was not in public knowledge. This was not in public domain. I have not come across a single RTI user or RTI activist who is aware of any consultation. So they may have done some closed door consultations, which I do not know about. To Mr. Taneja's point that Parliament has complete ownership over everything, I would beg to disagree and say the citizens of India have, and the consultation should be with citizens, and that is the basis of democracy. Parliament is our representative, but this consultation must be done with citizens, and that's a very well established thing, unless they want to come up with a new theory. Secondly, what is this amendment trying to do? We have one of the best laws in the world in transparency terms, and what are they trying to do? Demote the information commissioners. That's what precisely is the objective. And is this worthwhile to amend the law just to demote the information commissioners? What this shows, and they've not even said what they are equal to. It will be decided by the central government. And I think it also violates the federal structure of the nation, because states have a right to decide on the salary structures, etc., of the information commissioners for the states. The central government has not specified any term, any perquisite, so they could as well bring it down to an undersecretary's level and say, well, we have a commission which will not be functional at all, which will not be heard. And there are some decisions of the Central Commission which have rubbed governments the wrong way. This happened earlier governments. The Congress government also thrice tried to amend the law, but they listened to people when people said don't do it. And they said, okay, we will not amend the law. Here is a government that brings it up once. There were certainly widespread opposition to this.
So I'll give the last.
We had consultations,
and now I'll give the last word on this.
Even day before yesterday, I don't think you knew that this bill was going to be presented.
No, absolutely, you're right. But I'll give the last chance to Mr. Taneja, last word here to rebut what Mr. Gandhi has been saying. Mr. Taneja, I just want to point out one more thing before you answer, sir. And I have limited time, so I'll be very quick on this. The salaries of 17 of the 19 tribunals, chairpersons of these tribunals, were hiked to the same levels of election commissioners, while salaries of the members were upgraded to the levels of High Court judges. Now, the information regarding salaries paid to them as per the proactive information required to be disclosed under Section 4(1)(bx) of the RTI Act continues to show 90,000 rupees, Indian rupees, for all three of them. Either the salaries have not been upgraded or the information of the website has not been updated. What is more intriguing, sir, is that the salaries of chairpersons and members of statutory tribunals mentioned above were upgraded even before the president assented to it. So that is where all the questioning is coming from. What is the government up to, sir?
The point is that whatever the salary structure, what does it have to do with, you know, the lack of transparency, or that they will not be able to do the job that they are supposed to do? What does it have to do? How can you claim that this is basically an attempt by the government to dilute the power of Information Commissioner? Explain to me. What is the connect between the two? Unless that's your assumption because you don't like this certain amendment. You can be very upfront about it. Second thing is, I agree with Mr. Gandhi that debate within, you know, the civil society is very important. But when it comes to any democracy, Parliament is always supreme.
Okay.
Parliament is supreme in all democracies.
All right.
Unless Mr. Gandhi is talking of North Korea and China.
All right, we'll leave it there. We have no more time on this. Thank you, Mr. Gandhi. Thank you, Mr. Taneja. We'll take a short break right now. Much more up ahead. Stay with us. We are back, and one more story that demands our attention. Over 50 lakh people have been affected by the floods in Bihar. Thousands have been forced to flee their homes. Stories of heartbreaking apathy have been emerging from across the state, with some flood victims claiming that they've been forced to eat rats in the absence of any food material being provided by the government, and have received absolutely no aid from the state government. Amidst all of this, Deputy Chief Minister Sushil Modi was seen busy in photo ops and watching movies. And when confronted, he brazenly defended himself. Take a look.
पिछले 6 दिन के अंदर मैंने इस पिक्चर को 2 बार देखा है, और इस पिक्चर को देखने के कारण मुझे गालियां भी पड़ी हैं। आज भी एक अंग्रेजी का चैनल 2 घंटा पहले दिखा रहा था कि बिहार बाढ़ में डूबा है और बिहार के डिप्टी सीएम सिनेमा देख रहे हैं। इस चैनल वाले को ये नहीं मालूम है कि बिहार अगर बाढ़ में डूबा तो एक साथ कई काम हो सकता है। अगर हम बिहार की बाढ़ पीड़ितों की मदद कर रहे हैं, उसका पूरा इंतजाम कर रहे हैं, अगर कोई फिल्म बिहार पर बनी है और जिस फिल्म के कारण बिहार का मान सम्मान बढ़ा है, उस फिल्म को अगर नहीं देखने जाते तो फिल्म का अपमान होता, उन कलाकारों का अपमान होता। लेकिन मुझे इसकी परवाह नहीं है। वो फॉलो कर करके लोगों से रिएक्शन मांग रहा है। आप बताइए, सुशील मोदी ने ठीक किया कि गलत किया? ठीक किया कि गलत किया? और अधिकांश लोग कह रहे हैं कि उन्होंने गलत किया। जैसे लगता है कि मुझे ही जाकर बाढ़ प्रभावित इलाकों में बैठना था।
Well, Sushil Modi claims his government is doing all it can. Times Now spoke to the locals in Shivganj village in Bihar, who revealed how this channel was the first and only channel to reach there. Not even a single government official had bothered to reach out to them. Take a look.
We are showing you pictures of how people risking their lives just for the sake of the families, their little ones, and these are not just 2 people. We are showing you visuals of many people here, all neck deep in water, going from the village to the headquarters here, to the subdivision office, to the marketplaces to buy important things. And this village, which is, ये बताइएगा ये कौन सा गांव है? जहाँ ये
शिवगंज गांव है, कतवा प्रखंड का, वार्ड नंबर 4 है, कतवा पंचायत।
ये शिवगंज गांव पूरी तरीके से कट चुका है,
पूरा चारों तरफ से कट चुका है। बीच में एक टापू जैसा बना हुआ है, सबका आंगन तांगन में पानी है।
कोई प्रशासन का कोई आया है?
कोई प्रशासन का कोई अभी तक यहाँ पहुँचे नहीं है। अभी तक कोई साधन नहीं है।
हमको लगता है हम लोग पहले यहाँ आ रहे हैं, लगता है
पहली बार आप कोई देख रहे हैं कि कोई मीडिया वाले यहाँ हम लोग के यहाँ आए।
इसके पहले कोई
नहीं आया।
तो ये शिवगंज गांव में लोग खाना पीना क्या ऐसे
खाना पीना जो भी राशन पहले बचा हुआ वो खा रहे हैं, बाकी बात अब
तो लोग क्या इसी तरीके से खतरा लेके जाते हैं?
क्या करेंगे, पैसा तो व्यवस्था नहीं है तो कुछ तो साधन करना पड़ता है।
और कह रहे हैं कि सिर्फ 20 रुपए बचाने के लिए डूब के जा रहे हैं।
अब 20 रुपया नहीं है तो नाव वाले, सरकारी नाव नहीं है, पैदल जाना पड़ेगा उसको, तो उससे बढ़िया तो रिक्शा लेना ही बिना पैसा का। तो कोई प्राइवेट नाव तो उसको ले जाएंगे नहीं, तो इसलिए वो है जो पैसा बचाने के चक्कर में तैरना पड़ता है उसको नदी में।
Well, certainly heartbreaking stories. Look at this person who's brought a bag of just commodities for eating some food for his family members, and that is the reason why he's walking in this neck deep water. ये बताइएगा आप क्या लेके जा रहे हैं झोला में?
खाने के लिए सामान
परिवार के लिए ले जा रहे हैं?
हाँ, परिवार के लिए।
आप डूब के जा रहे थे, जीवन को खतरा मोल रहे थे,
क्या करेंगे, साधन नहीं जो है।
क्या लेके जा रहे हैं इसमें? क्या खाने?
सब्जी है।
सरकार कुछ नहीं दे रही है क्या?
नहीं, अभी सरकार का मदद नहीं मिल रहा है।
तो सरकार तो कह रही है कि हम पैसा दे रहे हैं, खाना बनवा रहे हैं।
कुछ नहीं दिया हम लोग का गांव में।
तो इसी तरीके से डूब के जाते हैं।
जाने तो पड़ेगा परिवार के लिए, बचाने के लिए।
Well, clearly heard it from this person saying that परिवार के लिए करना पड़ता है, बचने के लिए करना पड़ता है, परिवार को जीवित रखने के लिए करना पड़ता है. Certainly these are not just one or two stories, so many stories here of how people are risking their life. This is the Shivganj village, and as you can see, it has turned into an island, marooned completely. Water has entered all the village since water level has rose in the Mahananda river, and there has been embankments have broken at various places, and that is the reason why the waters have entered in the village. It's almost 5 to 6 days, but still now no administration has reached here.
That's Bihar today. We'll take a short break right now, and you're up front is next. My name is Athar Khan.